Hello everybody and welcome to this tutorial. We're going to make some cool abstract stuff and we're going to make it in Houdini and Unity. The first tutorial part in this one going to be in Houdini. You don't need to know Unity at all. And then in the next one we're just going to make some script and some materials and set up this what you see here. And in the Unity part then you can kind of tweak the speed like this and the amp if you want to have it a little bit more or less, like this. So, and what's this one? I don't remember. I don't remember the difference one. I'm going to check it out in the script and explain. So, but yeah, the speed. Yeah. So this is what we're going to do. But first we're going to start off in Houdini and do the shapes. So let's get started. And I'm going to leave this one. No, actually. So I'm going to just organize stuff. So we're going to be in this scene eventually in the next scene, in the next tutorial. And I'm going to save the Houdini file here so it's easier to find everything later. So the first thing I'm just going to do save as, and I have the correct folder and the name I want. So I save it. And then I have it here. Perfect. So I'm going to have this open so I can reference. The first thing we want to do is... we're going to make these shapes in Houdini, and so you see there are different shapes. So we're going to make it in a for loop and have parameters to control the size of this initial hole here, and the thickness and the space, and then the numbers. So in Houdini, I'm going to show you the final setup. It's going to be like this. So this for loop is doing the job, and it's kind of built out of this controller. So this controller gonna control everything. So let's see if we do like this. Here we can do the shapes, how many shapes we want, and the size. The size is the small center hole. So if I just do like this. And then we have the thickness of it and the spacing of it, like this. Super nice. So this is what we're going to do. And we're going to make it from scratch. So I'm going to have this layout. This is what I want. And the first thing I'm going to make is a geometry node. I'm gonna do it as shapes, and here we're gonna have a grid, and this is gonna be the kind of the base. So maybe I should show, it's gonna be this grid here, and then we're gonna bevel it, and then we're gonna extrude it to make the shapes like this, then poly extrude it again, and then we're gonna make this UV mapping, and we're also going to name it also so we can differentiate it in Houdini. So we're going to have a wrangler, a detail wrangler like this, and I'm going to name that to controller like this and have a color so I know where it is. And we're going to have a few controller names on this one. So I'm going to have the float center hole size. Going to be channel center hole size like this. I'm also going to have thickness like this. So we can, have the thickness of it. And we're going to have the space. So we have the space between the shapes, and the last thing going to be an integer. So count. Yeah, we can just do shapes. So make sure you do an I here and shapes count. And then you just click this one here, and because we did an I here and not an F. So we have integer here, and the rest of them are floats. And in the cogwheel here, we're going to go in, and this center hole size, I'm just going to do the range here and lock it to be the smallest piece size can be 0.1. And the thickness, I'm going to do the same thing about that one. Space is allowed to be 0, but not less than 0. And shapes, the minimum is going to be one shape like this. So apply and accept. Now you see it's kind of clamped, so you can't go below those values. So that's kind of the controller. And what we want to do now is to make this grid as we want it. And we only want it to be rows and columns 2 by 2. So now you see we don't have a lot of points here and rows stuff. And the size, well, the size can be controlled by center hole size. Copy. So we're going to paste that into the size first one here. Paste relative reference. And then we can just do right click on this one and do copy parameter and do paste relative reference. So now when we do the center hole shape, you see we control it. So let's plug this one into the for each number. So make sure you do for each number, because the number iteration here gonna determine how many shapes we're gonna have. So we're gonna do the shape count, copy this parameter, and in this one here, iterations, you're gonna paste relative reference. So now we have that one linked up. So if we just plug this one in here, and then we check here, we have one prim. But if we, and I lock it here, and if we start to do this shape count, you see here, if we look here, you can see we can control how many shapes we want, but they are stacked on top, so we don't really see it for now. So this is a great start. What we want to do, yeah, we're gonna grow this each time. So this node here is a kind of information about the for each loop. So I'm just going to make info. And I untick this one here. And in the detail here, you can see iterations for. And iterations comes from here. And so we can just have it connected. And this controller, if we do view and do show for selected nodes, now you can see that these two nodes is actually listening to this node. So this is awesome. So for each iteration, let's say if we just do free. So if we have three shapes. That means we're gonna have 3 iterations here. And but this one will actually do iteration 2 because it starts at iteration 0 and then do 1 and 2. So we have 3 shapes, but the iteration, it's a little bit confusing maybe, but that's how it works. So what we're gonna do here, if we, in this grid, actually, so in this one, first one, if you hit Alt-E, you can get this window, and it's a little bit easier to kind of put stuff in it. And if we just drag this one in here, it didn't work like that. Okay, it's okay. So, but what we want to do, we want to add more stuff here. So if we do plus, and I'm actually just going to do detail and downslash, and now we came to this, all the nodes. We went out from this node with these 2 dots, and now we can go into all the other nodes. So I'm going to go to info, this one, and in this info node we're going to have fetch the iteration. And if we just add in 0, and now we have the iteration number. So if we just do apply, now you can see that we have more shapes here, but the iteration step is like 1 unit, and that's not what we want. So if we just do enter here, we can actually just, it doesn't matter in the end. If you do an enter, it will read the code like in one line. But so this iteration, we're going to multiply it. We're going to multiply it with channel, and we're going to do controller. And in this controller, we're going to do, let's see. So this should be thickness. No, thickness. Yeah, that's cool. And let's see. And if we now hit enter, now you see we have it here. So now we have the shapes starting to listen to this thing going on, right? Super good. And we're also gonna add in, if we do plus here, enter, I'm doing it so it's easier to read. So we're gonna go again and // and go into controller, because this time we're gonna do the space. And if we do enter on this one, so if we just add the space here, you see we do add something, so it works, but we only add it once, but we want to add it for each iteration. So we just need to copy this part here, this iteration part. And if we multiply it here, now you see we add the space to everything. So I'm just gonna accept and close this one down, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna go and do a sweep node here. So if we just do in the second input, we do a ribbon. Now you see we have these shapes here. So if we do columns down to 1 like this, and the width, we're gonna do thickness, just gonna copy this one and paste it in here, and doing the width and paste relative reference. So now you see we're starting to get the shapes, and it kind of look almost okay. And if we do the spacing more, so you could do this, but I actually we will have some problems with this setup, because if we look at this one, and you see we can do like this actually. Maybe this is better. So you see the line in the middle center here. That's actually this one here, and it's actually, this sweep is extruding both inwards and outwards, and it might look like it works really good, but the thing is, we want to have rounded corners. So if we put a poly bevel here, and if we do it on the points, and we do like this, maybe, yeah, 3 divisions maybe, or even more. Let's do 5. Now we have this really nice corner here. I'm just gonna show a little bit more. All right. So when we do the sweep with this setup, you see it's kind of going intersect here. This is not good. It's gonna cause problem for us. And especially when we have the small ones here, you see it's going bananas. So the way you could solve this one is to have a line. And if you plug this one in here, and then you do ribbon, second input cross section, and then instead of having upwards, we're gonna have it in the Z direction or the X direction. Yeah, we're going to do the X direction. Now you see that each, now we're starting to extrude outwards, so we will never have that intersection problem. So you see here, so now we just do like this. Here in the controller, we fetch the thickness once again, copy parameter in this line, in the length. So this one we're going to control. So then we just do paste relative reference. And here we are. So this is a good setup. So we won't ever have a problem. So that's good. And yeah. So when we have this one, now we can do a poly extrude. So if we do this one, we do distance. Yeah, we can do 0.4 maybe. And we do output back to. So because then we get this, we don't really need it. I just do it to, kind of feels good to have it. So we have it there. So that's good. And I think we should just add some bevels. So it looks like this now. So it's really good. Maybe you just want it hard edges like this. So that is fine. And yeah, you see all these lines. If you do view and hide, you hide them. So here, if we do a poly bevel once again and put it here. And if we look at the lines here when we start to do it, you see, we kind of do it on all the lines. And it get a little bit messed up. So in the exclusion, you can just go about ignore flat edges. Then you do control it like this. And you see here, we actually have a problem because, yeah, I don't really know why, but there is a problem. Let's see. Yeah, because here the edges are so close to each other. So one way to solve this problem is to do, if we just do a group, and we put it here, and we do edges, and we do edge group, and include edges, and we just do, so here we just want to fetch the edges that's really sharp. So we can do the min and max. It should work. Hello. So let's see edges. Why isn't this working? Here we're going to do the edges group. Hello, come on. Why isn't it working? Okay, I'm going to pause it and solve it. All right, it works. I'm going to do it one more time just to make sure you follow along. So we have the group here. And in this one, we have primitives, we want edges, and we want to, the base group, we don't want to use that. So you see nothing is selected here. And then we're going to include by edges, and we're going to have min and max. So here you can see we can control all the edges we want. So we have over 90 degrees, so the max, and the minimum is catching these ones. So we're just going to clamp it up like this. So now we only have these lines. So what's good about this is now in the poly bevel. So you see we have this problem. Now in the poly bevel, we're going to do these group one, this one here. And now, come on. Why isn't this working? Are we doing too much Oh yeah, we're gonna have exclusion. We're not gonna use that one. No. So I'm gonna change some space thickness. Okay, I'm not gonna resolve this issue now. I'm just gonna leave it and do this center hole size like this instead. So this is actually the setup. So okay, we don't need the group here. I'm gonna leave this. It's good. It's gonna be good enough. And then I'm just gonna make sure that we have normals like this. So now it's smooth and nice and shiny. And I think I'm gonna have a little bit more resolution here on the corners so they look a little bit better. Also on this one here, so the edges are a little bit smoother. And then I'm gonna have an UV unwrap. So we're gonna have this one here. Now we have this one, and if we look inside, this is the UV map. So it actually places it inside the UV tile, but I don't want it. I want it to be real world. So scale, uniform, I'm gonna do to none. So now you see it's actually doing real world scale here. This is good because now all the shapes gonna have the same resolution in the UV mapping. So this is really good. The last part we're gonna do is make transform. And because we need to make sure we take care of the scaling difference in Houdini and Unity. So we need it to scale up 100 times. And we're gonna do ROP FBX. This is gonna be the shapes out. Shapes like this and save. So if we go into, let's see, Unity and go into and look at this shape and see what's going on. So if we just put this shape in here, you see, yeah, it doesn't have any, we can't really move each shape for itself. It's all merged together. So in order to fix that, it applies for all FBX scenarios. Even if you're going to do it for Unreal, you need to do this. So we need to have different shapes here. So what you can do, you can utilize this path attribute. So if we do, we will use name here. So we're going to put name on each shape. So if we do a Wrangler here, and we're gonna set names, set name, and it's gonna be on prim. So we're gonna put it on the primitives. So we're gonna do set name is equal to test like this, right? So now if we save here, now you see we have named it test, but now we want to put it on each shape. We want to have a different name. So what we can do, if you think about this info node we have, we can just use this iteration, so we can have different names. And if we just take this node and plug it into the second input here, then we can just do the name here, and then we just do we do shape down _0, and here we're just gonna add on the detail, and we're gonna have the second input. So the first is 0, the second is 1. So we do the detail 1. And we do iteration, and we do 0 like this. So if we look at the prims, you see shape 0. So we didn't really add anything. That's because this is an integer. and we need to convert this to a string. So we just do an e2a like this, and that's going to convert an integer to a string. Now you see shape 4. So if we are doing save to disk again, now you see here we have different shapes. This is awesome. So now we can start moving these around. This is perfect. So this is going to be, yeah, this is everything in the tutorial. So this is the setup, and I hope you liked it. So in the next tutorial, we're going to do the Unity stuff. So thank you so much for watching.